we start with perhaps you giving a bit of context for how your new team, Q36.5 Pro Cycling, has how it all began.
Yeah, look, I mean, as you know, Team Qhubeka kind of ended sadly. We had a guaranteed entry still into the Tour de France for this season in 2022, and just through COVID and sponsor contracts ending at a difficult time during COVID, it was just a tough time to try and remain in the pro peloton and to remain funded. So we tried really hard right up until the 26th of December 2021 to try and put a team on the road, which I fought right till the last minute and then had to pull the ripcord on it, which was really sad because we just couldn't raise enough funds. So COVID had a big impact, and I think people were a bit indecisive about making decisions, and it was a tough time. So and then we never really lost hope, or I never really lost hope about wanting to still bring a team back on the road and achieve some great things. I think a team with our values and our purpose and using its success to do more, we really wanted to get back and to have this platform to that we could use to still raise funds to put kids on bikes and to do more across Africa. And our passion for the sport was particularly my passion for the sport was right up there in the competitive side of it. So I worked really hard to try and find a way to come back, and now we found some amazing partners and a nice long-term partnership and long-term investment to come back into the world of cycling. Q36.5 is an Italian Swiss clothing company that is invested into the team. So it's about research, it's about innovation, it's about sustainability, so all the things that we care about. And now we're coming back as a pro tour team, so in the second division, with lobbying to fight to get back into the big world tour races. So the fight in the dog is big for us to get back to the highest level. So I mean, it's we have no guarantees like we did as a world tour team, but that's kind of fun. So we've put an amazing team together with 23 riders with 13 nationalities, so a lot of great human beings and individuals that I think will shine on the in the pro peloton going forwards into next season. So it's really, really exciting to be back and to have a team back on the road with some nice partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course that driving sort of mission behind the team with getting the kids on bikes in Africa, that's still driven through the Qhubeka charity. Is that how that works?
Yeah, correct. So we're still focusing 100% on Africa's mobility. So through Qhubeka in South Africa and through World Bicycle Relief across the rest of Africa. So that's a big focus for us, particularly with the World Championships in 2025 in Rwanda.
Yeah.
We opened Africa's door to cycling, I guess. And if you look at Bini and Gourmet and the success of the African riders, it's they're definitely coming through and shining at the highest level, which is a real pleasure. It gives me a lot of lot of satisfaction to say that that what we kind of created 10 years ago is now starting to bear fruit, which is really cool. So that's a big thing. And then of course we're also focusing on education. So education and mobility are two of our major factors that we're racing for and will inspire our riders to make a big difference through their success and their racing.
Yeah, well, it's funny that one of the first memories I have of, I guess, my following of the sport in terms of, African riders doing well at the top flight is, of course, Daniel Tekla when he took the polka dots. Yeah. And wasn't that just amazing? And you watch some of the racing now, like the Tour of Rwanda, we've seen the crowds, unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable crowds. So it's really good seeing that movement grow. And I guess it must have been challenging starting, I guess, well, not starting, but, just keeping the ball rolling on trying to get getting the team back on the, on foot. And I wondered, like, when you've got no team, you've got no riders, but you've obviously got your vision, your dream, how you've done it before. It must be challenging to try and attract sponsors when you don't have the riders yet, and vice versa. Like, it's like chicken or the egg thing. Like, what are some of the challenges there when you're trying to grab, trying to entice sponsors to, follow your dream and your vision?
Well, I mean, it is about selling the dream. It's about convincing people and getting them to believe. I'm a very passionate person, and I'm authentically love what I do and love what we've done. Like you talk about Daniel's, King of the Mountains jersey in the 2015 Tour de France. I mean, and then a few days later, Steve Cummings goes and wins on Nelson Mandela's birthday, on Mandela Day in Tamand. I mean, it was, if you read Steve's book, the cover of the book is that picture, right? I mean, it defined him, it defined us. It broke ground. It was just epic. Never say never, and never say that things are not possible, because anything's possible. And if you have a big heart and you dream big and you prepare, of course you can make your own luck. And that's exactly what happened, which was absolutely beautiful. And if you look at the fan base, you talk about the fan base and the people in Rwanda that watch cycling and on the side of the road, like millions of people.
That's wild.
That year in that Tour de France, I mean, the diaspora and people from all over Europe came to sing and dance and chant next to our team bus. I mean, cycling had never seen an audience like that. It was unbelievable. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, in the October time, when we were in the Place de la Concorde, or just actually in the tour briefing, the 2016 Tour de France team briefing, when they go and talk about the route launch, and they do a summary of the 2015 tour. Christian Prudhomme stood up there in front of thousands of people and said Africa had arrived, and they just showed pictures and videos of people singing and dancing and colorful flags, and cycling had not seen that. And I remember some of the team managers that were sitting around me, like patting me on the back, saying, "Fuck, Doug, you've arrived." you changed the game, which was kind of cool. But I mean, I think if we look forwards, to now, the motivation to try and come back was always big. The impact that I think our team has had an amazing influence in cycling, and that also helped us attract a lot of riders to our team. We've got 7 or 8 riders from the World Tour that joined us now in 2023. They've seen the influence and the impact that this team has had. They've seen the way we engage with the individual riders, the success that we've had with riders like Giacomo Nizzolo, Victor Campenaerts, Max Walscheid, Gino Maeder, Mara Schmidt, Ben O'Connor. We've created some amazing opportunities with individuals. We just never had a long-term project to be able to retain those individuals in our team. And they went on to, and did great things in other teams, which is great. But I think as a team, we listen to the individual, we understand what they want to achieve, their goals and objectives, and we try and enable that through the team. We're not looking at riders like they fulfill a function. I mean, a lot of agents come to me and they say, "Are you looking for climbers, sprinters?" So we said, no, we're looking for human beings that have a good heart and care about the sport that we live in and care about the world that we live in. And I think that's the difference. We kind of turn the model on its head. These are not, riders aren't meat in a meat factory. They are people with goals, with dreams, and that's the difference. And that's what we do. And I think that's now, even before our team was announced with its partners, we'd already signed 18 or 19 riders, because there was riders that really wanted to be a part of something. They believed that it was going to come together. They believed in me. They believed in the people that we put together, the sports directors. We've got an amazing group of sports directors that have been with me in the past, that came back to be a part of this new project. And then, of course, the partners believed in it too. So it was a coming together of amazing, individuals, but the riders particularly invested in wanting to be a part of this team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great mix of and very international as well, like you said. I guess for 2023, the first year is often, it's a tester year going back to the Pro Tour. I guess, what are some of the key focuses for the team for 2023? So what are the most important things that you think the team might be trying to perform, well at, or tick the box?
Yeah, so cycling is in a strange space now. The first time in 100 years of the sport, there's a relegation and promotion that's just gone through. So I mean, that we're in a different cycle now. Actually, if you think about it, teams are starting to be smarter in the way they engage, the way they race, the people that they put in races, and the races that they do, and how they look at that. Nobody wants to be on that hockey stick approach where you want to be at the end of the hockey stick and in the third year to try and find out whether what you need to do to score points. So I think the way teams will start to invest in riders etc., and races that they want to do is going to be pretty strategic and pretty different. And there's another conversation on its own, because that's going to be quite exciting to say, why these riders to these races. It's going to create another dynamic to, the couch coaches out there, analyzing that stuff. So which I think is going to be really exciting. So for us, we've got a team that can race in every event. We want to be good in the spring classics and the Ardennes classics and the short stage races, and then potentially in the grand tours. So we've got 2 frontline sprinters in Sinok and Moschetti. We've got some great stage race riders in Housen, Damien Housen and Carl Frederick Hagen. So we've got some real experience and strong engines, and Jack Bauer, and the classics rider Tom de Vrient that was fourth in Paris-Roubaix this year. So we've got riders that can succeed. They're not superstars, but that's cool. Like we don't, I've had superstars in the past, and they're nice to deal with and sometimes tough to manage. But these riders, they're hungry. They have massive desire, passion. They've been knocking on the door. They've always ridden for other leaders.
Yes.
And this is their opportunity to shine. And that's cool. And they embraced it. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we were in Milan at a fitting camp, getting the riders all fitted up on their new bikes and the kit and stuff. And the energy and the excitement around, them being a part of this new project and them making a big influence and having a big, it can make a big difference in this team is kind of cool. So now, big thing for me is lobbying to get into the race organizers. So I've been, lobbying. I'm back to putting our hat in the ring, which is, there's no guarantees. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. So, it's actually, I've got energy. I'm enjoying it again. We've got a lot of value to add to the media because of what we race for. And I think event organizers will want us in their races. And when we get there, I can guarantee that our riders will race like it's the last day that they're racing, because every day is an opportunity to do something great, and I think they will definitely embrace that. So it's exciting, but it's a different world that we live in now in terms of what teams, and the conversation around cycling is going to be a bit richer and a bit more detailed.
Yeah, it is very exciting from a fan's perspective as well. And around this time last year, actually, I spoke with, I did a similar episode with Jens Haugland from Uno X. And, they were just sort of breaching into that similar territory now. And he spoke about the challenges of getting race starts and how some race organizers, it's cut and dry, some not so much. So it could be down to the riders, the nationality of riders you have, sponsors, all that sort of stuff. So there is some interesting challenges. But what I did see recently, Doug, looks like there might be an extra position available at the Giro now that one of the teams has indicated they will forego their start to focus on the tour. So that is interesting for you guys, particularly with Nibali on your part of your team staff.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think just on 2 things. I mean, Uno X is a great team. They've grown year by year. They've got a great project. I mean, one of our old riders, Rasmus Tiller, is there. Now they've got Alexander Kristoff. They really are going step by step. They've got a great team owner.
He's great.
He's a legend. Like, I love what they do. I mean, I really respect and I know we're competing with them now for starts, etc. But they've laid an amazing foundation and are growing year by year. They're not trying to go, too big too soon. They've really walked the walk, and when they go to the races, they're super exciting. Their kit looks cool. So I mean, I really, I met with Jens actually now when I was in Australia at the Worlds in Wollongong, and we had some nice conversations, and we were kind of like tongue in cheek, like, good luck to you, good luck to you. So, but so we'll fight, we'll drink a beer here, but we'll fight on the dance floor. So that's kind of cool. But I mean, it is a big thing about lobbying for race starts. The Giro, absolutely. I mean, I think it's quite sad that Italian cycling is still struggling to put teams on the road and to get funding. It's a bit like Formula One not having an Italian Grand Prix. I mean, that would just be terrible.
I know.
So for the fact that cycling doesn't have an Italian World Tour team and is really struggling to keep going, and there's so many good Italian riders. I mean, I have 6 in my team.
You have a few.
I mean, of course, Nibali has had some influence in that, and it's nice to have a guy like him as a technical advisor, someone that is, will be a brand ambassador for Q36.5. He's going to ride the Absa Cape Epic. the mountain bike race in this coming next year. So he's going to do some fun stuff and enjoy his sport, but also help us with preparation for our stage race riders, come to training camps, mentor the younger generation, give us some insight, into his preparation and what he's done, because a guy that's won Milan San Remo, Lombardia, Tirreno Adriatico, and the Grand Tours, there's very few of his kind around, and he's so humble, such a cool guy. So, he adds, a nice depth and some more dimensions to our performance team, in terms of just giving some insight and advice and his experience. So, yeah, but let's see. Giro is interesting. It's in May. It's quite soon. We're a new team. If we get an opportunity, we've thrown our hat in the ring. If we get an opportunity, for sure we'll jump at it. If we don't, we'll continue to build, our program and build our riders, and just to keep the scoreboard ticking, which is important. So.
Absolutely, and often quite lucrative with points outside of the Grand Tours for the teams looking at that.
Yeah, you could ride 2 or 3 races outside of a Grand Tour and score 600-700 points, and you could go to a Grand Tour, smash yourself for 3 weeks and 3,500 kilometers and score 20 points, and you're like, exactly. Oh my gosh, that was hectic. Or you could score a lot, like. We've won, the time that we won 3 stages in the Giro last year, we've won 5 stages in the Tour before. So, I mean, that's pretty, now the points on the stage wins have gone up. So that also is a good thing. So, no, absolutely. Because, you look at a one-day race and then you look at a Grand Tour stage, they're both as hard to win without doubt, right? And the points in the one compared to the other paled into insignificance, and now it's kind of on par, which is
good. It's been addressed. Yeah,
I mean, there's a good Aussie, old Michael Rogers, now at the UCI, that is looking at that thing in detail, and so I think things are moving and changing slowly. And Mick Rogers, he's he also worked for us for a year, but as our technical advisor. But Mick is he's trying to move forwards in a good way and do good things there. So good people all in all.
Right direction. That's good.
Yeah.
Doug, what are some of the I guess, have you taken anything from your time managing Team Qhubeka and all its iterations? Have you taken any sort of any learnings from those days managing that team to this team now? Like anything you learned there that maybe you did wrong or right that you've applied to this new team, Q36 Pro Cycling?
Yeah, so Jethro, I mean, we've been in the game 10 years, and so we made mistakes for sure, and we learned a lot over those 10 years. And I mean, this is a people-centric business. The product that we sell are our people, and the staff are the most important because they're the ones that keep the lights and water on and keep the culture. It's very hard to maintain your culture and what you stand for when you're always remote. I mean, cycling is a sport played on the open roads of the world. Those are our stadiums. To try and stay connected in a disconnected sport is really complicated. So I think going forwards, we're building a bigger foundation now with incredible people so that we can rise higher than we ever have. And when I look at the energy and just the involvement of people in the team, today, as we're building it to move into 2023, it's amazing. So I think we'll rise higher for sure. I'm a very, act like owner attitude, where I give responsibility and accountability to the people in the functions in the team. Of course, you learn from your mistakes, and mistakes are made, but that's how we grow as individuals. So I think, we've got a great culture in our team, and so I'm excited to see. I'm really happy with where we are, and what we're building, and with the people that we have, and the partners that we have, and then how big and high we can rise on top of that is going to be exciting. So I think our ceiling is going to be really high. This is a double volume game. This is not a small building we're building. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. You've obviously been announcing on social media. People can see on the Q36.5 Instagram page, which I think you've changed from it was the previous team, Qhubeka.
Correct.
Beautiful. So you guys can check that out on the Instagram. It's cool. You've been announcing all the riders. Is there more to come, or is this the team 23 we've got?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll get through all 23. We wanted to give each one their day in the sun because they're all incredibly important, and we treat every individual equally. You know, which is the nice thing about our team. You know, you could be, you know, a Damien Housen or, you know, a Tom de Vrient, but of course a Nagasi Abreha from Ethiopia is as valuable. You know, you're only as strong as your 23rd rider, I guess. And so for us, it's all about that. And so everybody is getting their day in the sun, but we potentially could have one or two riders that we might still bring in. I mean, there's quite a lot of chaos in the sport at the moment with some teams, and one team in particular that we're hoping will find a way forward and is not going to struggle, because otherwise there could be a few riders on the market, and then because of that we might end up picking up one or so, because just to try and keep people working and keep people, you know, passionate about the sport. So of course that's a possibility, but yeah, we're pretty much going to be around 23, 24 riders, which is the average size team of a well-funded, you know, pro continental, pro tour team.
Okay.
And the average age is around 26 in our teams, which is kind of the sweet spot. So we've got a lot of mentors and older riders, and we've got, you know, many near pros. So we've got quite a lot of young guys too. So the balance is perfect, and we're quite excited with what we've ended up with. Actually, I must thank my sports directors for all the effort they went to build a great team with great people.
Okay. And when you're looking at riders and deciding who you might approach for a contract on your team, I guess, like, are you relying on, like you said, your sports directors to perhaps reach out or maybe give you intel on certain riders? But what are some of the challenges when it goes to looking to sign a rider? You know, what are some of the things you have to consider?
No, I mean, so for us, we look at the human being, their desire, their passion, their dreams, their goals, what they still want to achieve. We do a lot of analytics. I mean, we have quite a high-tech team. We do a lot of research on every single rider, the points they scored in what races over how many years, and, you know, were they the leader, were they a support rider, you know, what potential do they have, what age do they have, you know, and we do quite a lot of research on everyone. We kind of get their Training Peaks accounts and look at things and see, you know, how we can improve. And then we have very detailed conversations with the individual. Like, we don't sit down and talk about anything other than how they got into cycling, what drives them, what motivates them. You know, we don't even talk about racing in our first meetings with these guys.
In those discussions, Doug, in those discussions with the riders, did any of the riders' responses to those particular questions surprise you?
Well, yeah, some do. Well, for the first surprise is that they say that nobody asks them those questions when they go and have interviews on other teams. You know, it's all about, we want you to do this. Can you do this? We need this. Otherwise, we're not going to pay you this. And we don't even have, I mean, that's not even our conversation in the first meeting. Ours is about, you know, how did you get started in cycling? What's your family situation? Where do you live? What drives you? You know, are you married? Do you have kids? You know, do you want to leave a legacy? How do you want to be remembered? How can we help you? If you want to still race 1 year, 2 years, you know, what do you want to achieve through that? How can we, you know, make it happen that you enjoy what you're doing? You know, we want to give you your day in the sun so that you can be successful and win. But then, you know, how would you support a team, you know, when we have another strategy, etc. So those are the conversations we have. And then when we find, and then of course, you know, do you care about the world that we live in? Do you have a good network that we can, you know, use to try and help and support, raise money for kids and communities, etc. So that's the first conversation. And we get some interesting answers and some interesting, you know, things coming back. We learn a lot about the individuals, but that's how, I mean, when you're on the road for 200 days of the year, that's what you need to do. You need to understand each other to get the best out of each other. And I think that's why, as a team, we've always punched above our weight with individuals that have, you know, really surprised and done amazing things. So, you know, long may that continue. And hopefully our focus and the way we do things, you know, will continue to surprise and excite the audience of cycling.
Okay. And I guess for 2023, the first year, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, I mean, just to get the team back on the road, actually. I mean, for me, with the partners that we have, and, you know, just to be back in the game is amazing. To be, you know, seeing the fans again, because the last 2 years were really difficult. I mean, this year it opened up again, but we weren't kind of in the highest level. And it was quite sad the last 2 years. So 2020 and 2021 were tough years with people not being able to get access to the races. You know, customers or partners and sponsors that sponsored the teams couldn't bring their clients, so that intimacy wasn't there, which is what's the most beautiful thing about our sport. You know, you can be totally intimate with the riders, you can get to know them, you can, you know, really be a part of the sport. You can ride virtually and physically with the best riders in the world. You know, our sport is unique in that way. And so that for us is the most beautiful thing, that now, you know, people are back en masse. I mean, look at the Tour de France this year in Denmark and Vingegaard, and how just incredible that is. I mean, it's just those scenes. When I looked at that, I was like, we got to get back there, because when you see that audience, the passion that cycling fans have for this tough gladiator sport, and then the impact that we can have on communities is awesome. So for me, that's the thing that I'm really looking forward to, is to get, you know, to get personal and close to the fan base and the community of cycling that is so rich and in its diversity and in its passion.
Imagine, it reminds me of when Magnus Cort was out in the breakaway, you know, through his, you know, home nation, and just going wild on his own. It just makes me picture, like, imagine, you know, an African rider at the, you know, the World Champs 2025. That would be incredible. Incredible viewing. So last couple of questions, Doug. By the way, would you plan on traveling with the team to majority of the races?
Yeah, so I go to many. I don't go to all, but I go to many races where our partners are, where we, you know, have strong relationships with the race organizers, and of course the media, etc. So, I mean, my involvement and presence at the races, you know, helps the Qhubeka side of things tell the story, engage with them, you know, just with the fans of cycling and I guess the people that are there. But it'll be a lot around our partners and their customers and staff that come, which is, you know, creating an amazing experience, and also giving the riders the motivation to, when I'm there, they kind of like, they seem to dig a little deeper sometimes. It like means a little bit more for them, to them. So, you know, that's important that I'm around.
I'm really excited about a couple of riders that you signed. I'm really excited about Cyrus Monk. He reminds me of a bulldog, that guy. He just hasn't given up the dream of, you know, reaching that top flight, and I was really happy to see him signed. He seems like he just, you know, he'll always.
Well, there's an amazing story. I mean, if you know his story and you know how hard he's fought, and how many doors have been slammed in his face, and he still, you know, comes home to Australia every summer, works to save money so that he can get a flight back to Belgium, so that he can be back in the grindstone, back doing what he loves, hoping that one day a door will open. And now it has. And I think when I just listened to his story, like, I just fell in love with what, you know, his passion and his, you know, just his vision and mission for the sport, and how he keeps, you know, trying as hard as he can year in, year out. And for him to get this opportunity, like, I know when Cyrus pins a number on his jersey for the first time next year, which will be at the Australian Nationals on the 10th of January, he's going to race like he stole it. I mean, it's going to be, and I mean, I love that. And yeah, I so look forward to, you know, to following his journey through the next couple of years. And I know you can rely on him 100%. So that's exciting.
Yeah, super exciting. So I asked Jens this question last year, and the answer was very funny, what he actually said. So I'd like to ask you, say in 2 or 3 years' time, if you could take any rider from any team and they agree to come to Q36.5 Pro Cycling, who would you be drafting into the squad?
I would love Binion Gourmet to join us, actually. You know, so he would be amazing. He was 13 years old when Daniel Tekla-Heimanot wore that King of the Mountains jersey in the Tour de France. He never rode for us, but, you know, his eyes were wide open. You know, we created a pathway for him, the dream, the hope, and, you know, the 2025 World Championships in Rwanda. He is such an incredible human being, so humble, so modest. And, you know, I would for sure want to bring the best African talent back into our team and show what we can do together. And yeah, that would be my dream.
Well, Jen said he'd love to have Alexander Kristoff So, you know,
Wow.
the stars align.
Never say never. Never say never. That's awesome.
Oh, that's great. Well, Doug, the best place for people to, you know, find out more about the teams, of course, I know the main one to head to is to check out their Instagram first and foremost. To check that out. And then if they want to know more about Team Qhubeka, the charity, where should they be checking out?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be launching our new website, you know, towards the end of the year, Q36.5 Pro Cycling Team. And of course, Qhubeka.org is a great place to go and find out more about what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and to support, you know, the charity. So that's amazing. I'm actually going to Cape Town now to go to be a part of 2 bike handovers, which I love, being in the community and seeing the smiles on the kids' faces when they receive these bikes. And their lives will change forever. Just being mobile and independent is so cool. But yeah, so keep following our Instagram stuff is right up there. And yeah, we had an amazing, I mean, we have about 500,000 followers, so it was nice to just, you know, morph Team Qhubeka into Q36, you know, Pro Cycling Team, because yeah, we've got a very loyal following. So yeah, we just keeping on this journey, which is amazing. And yeah, and thanks for chatting to us today.